Hey guys, okay, Francois T here from Your Opinion and fthurston.blogspot.com.au. So let's talk about Maria Sharapova and this whole issue with the Meldonium that she tested positive for. For the record, I wasn't going to talk about this, but I followed the story. For several reasons. One of those reasons is because I'm a huge advocate for the WTA Tour. I followed women's tennis practically my whole and so obviously this was huge news to me when I woke up a couple of days ago and found out what had happened. But ever since then, you know, it seems every day there's at least 15 more stories being published about it and everyone's talking about it. So I figured, well, if everyone else is going to talk about it, I might as well talk about it as well. So if anyone's in the room wants to say hi, you want to, say anything about it, feel free to. More than happy to give you a shout out and certainly to put your comments out there. But as far as I'm concerned, I'm finding this scenario to be quite an interesting one. For me, I have to go back quite a few years ago, quite a few, when a former world number one from Switzerland, Martina Hingis, was tested positive at Wimbledon for cocaine. That was the last time that a female tennis player, a high-profile female tennis player, was found to found to have a positive test for a drug that was banned. Obviously, there's a huge difference between cocaine and this meldonium issue. And I'm a little surprised at certain reactions that people have had, whether it be just members of the public, friends of hers, fellow players, even some of her sponsors, people in the media. It's been quite scathing. Now, when you think of the media, it's hard to blame them for doing what they do because, at the end of the day, anything to sell a story, right? And I mean, this is Maria Sharapova. She's a consistent top 10 tennis player, the most, the richest female athlete at the moment. She certainly makes so much money, and the majority of her money is made in endorsements off the court. And so, a very high profile tennis player, and obviously there's going to be a lot made out of this. But the reason I bring up the case involving Martina Hingis when she tested positive for cocaine is that unlike then, and that was such a big story, and I'll even admit that I went to this Australian Open, the very next Open, so it was about 6 months or so later. I was sitting next to this guy from Switzerland, and one of the great things about going to any tournament, but particularly the Grand Slams, is you get to meet all these different people, and I just so happened to be sitting next to someone who was from Switzerland, and I was asking him, what happened to Martina? Well, I mean, I won't directly quote what he said, but he was, it seemed pretty obvious to him that, she had definitely done the wrong thing. She'd taken an illegal drug, and so therefore the sentence that she was given was certainly at the very least warranted. In the case of Maria Sharapova, I feel that this is really a case of negligence at the end of the day. It's not. I don't know if I'm using the correct terms here, but I certainly don't feel that Maria has, used this meldonium with malicious intent. Obviously, the day in question that we are referring to is the 26th of January 2016. And prior to the 1st of January 2016, meldonium was actually a legal substance, according to WADA. And now, all of a sudden, it's not. So that's another factor you need to take into consideration, is that it's only actually been illegal for 3 months. So it's not like the Hingis case with the cocaine, which has pretty much always been illegal. This is very new. Now, so to stay on point, Maria, I feel she didn't maliciously set about taking an illegal drug to enhance her performance. And even if someone were to call into question that she did, the greatest defense she has for herself at the end of the day is that the match in question, not only did she lose, but she actually lost it relatively easily. Sure, it may have been an okay first set, but I actually went back and rewatched the highlights of that match earlier today. And she lost that match like 6-4, 6-love. So, I mean, really, how was her performance enhanced? I don't see it. She lost in straight sets pretty convincingly. Um, I just don't see it. Now, in saying that, what can the ITF hold against Maria? Well, they can certainly hold negligence against her. She was very open and very honest about how she'd received the email with the link to the list of drugs that would be illegal, and she didn't click on the link. There are people who are really viciously responding to the fact that she didn't do this, and I don't want to excuse her necessarily for not doing that, but you can maybe understand that, it's not like, I don't know, it's not like she purposefully set out to do this. She just went, okay, I know practically what I shouldn't shouldn't be taking, and I'm just not going to click on the link. It's negligence at the end of the day. That's all it is. And to me, I feel like it's innocent negligence. Um, People that are berating her are going as far to say that they really should hold her to a higher standard because she is Maria Sharapova, and she should know better, and she's a top 10 player, and she's been a professional for so many years, and the list goes on and on and on and on. But what you got to keep in mind is that this drug had been legal for 10 years while she'd been taking it. So in her mind, I can only imagine, I mean, I don't know, but I can only imagine in her mind when she got this email, she probably just really didn't think much of it and went, okay, well, next. I mean, how many emails do we all get in our lives where, you get a link to something and you don't click it? And I mean, yeah, sure, she should have. And in hindsight, yeah, it would have made a difference had she done it. But she did actually make a point in her press conference, which I feel is a huge point, that she brought about this press conference herself. It wasn't like it wasn't like, there were news reports that this had happened and then she called a press conference in response to that. Maria actually came out, and the reason we know this is because Maria admitted it as soon as she possibly could. Now, Maria thought that the component within this drug that she was taking was a different name or something like that. I'm probably not making much sense, but she was under the idea that it came across as a different name to what they're calling it on this wider list, but apparently it comes under 2 different names. So again, something she didn't know. Some people are saying that her team is to blame. She was asked, if maybe her team should have done the research and all of this, and her thoughts on that. And Maria was very quick to shift the blame back onto herself and say, no, look, this is my fault. It's my responsibility. I should have known better. I understand that everyone has their own opinion, and as someone who has done many live chats and vlogs and blogs about how fantastic it is for everyone to have their own opinion called Your Opinion, and how each and every opinion differing from the other is what makes the world such an interesting place. But I feel that there are some things that people are saying that I just don't quite understand. To me, Maria's press conference seemed very legitimate. Comment below, let me know if you disagree, and that's fine. Again, happy for you to do that. But I didn't see any showboating or anything that made me think this was anything but sincere. Certainly, as I say, she's the one who brought this to the media's attention, and she was very somber and upfront and honest about it. So again, no malicious intent on A, taking the drug, but also B, even the press conference. So it was very surprising. And for Andy Murray to come out and say everything he has said, I feel quite hurt by that. Whether or not I'm going to take Maria Sharapova's side, I don't think it's the place of the fellow tennis players to comment or to comment to the extent that Andy has. Serena Williams made a comment as well on in support of Sharapova and saying how great it was that she owned up to this and came out and told everyone of her own accord. Um, and I would even go as far to say as I don't know if even that was appropriate. I appreciate that she's supporting Maria, and anyone who knows the WTA Tour and who's followed it as long as I have know that Maria and Serena aren't the best of friends. I mean, they're not the worst of enemies like the media makes out, but for Serena to say that, it's fantastic to see. But I really feel that tennis players' only position should be to say no comment. And I am quite upset that when I read or hear the things that Andy Murray and Rafael Nadal have said, and okay, I'm not really following too much what the media are saying to Nadal about his own issues with whether or not he's allegedly doping or whatnot, and quite frankly, he's said no many times, so the media should really get over that. I'm not following the story, but all I am seeing is that he keeps just saying, no, I'm not taking drugs. So really, they should just get over that. But, he even stepped forward and said, she should be punished, to put it one way. And I don't know if I necessarily agree with that. Watching this, you probably think that I am, Maria's number one fan. And to be completely honest, I'm actually not Maria's number one fan. I don't hate her, but she's not my favorite player by far. In an honest admission, my favorite tennis player is actually ranked outside the top 100 at the moment, and I'm quite frustrated with her, but that's a whole story put together. Her name is Daniela Huntakova, and I'm a little upset that she's outside the top 100, but she's my favorite. And then Serena Williams after that. I'm a huge fan of hers, but I was never Maria's number one fan, and so I didn't come into this situation with a biased point of view. I didn't come in and say, oh, well, I love Maria and I'm just going to back her up. I came to my opinion after looking at the facts and listening to her press conference and reading everything so far that's come out, and obviously, taking certain things with a grain of salt and other things that have been proven to be factual, on board. And looking at it from a neutral point of view. And from a neutral point of view, that Maria is innocent. I feel that, definitely, she is guilty. She failed the test. But I really don't feel that she maliciously set out to take this illegal drug to enhance her performance so she could beat Serena Williams. I don't think that's the case at all. And so, to have these news reporters say, oh, she's facing 4-year ban for taking this drug because, it improved her performance. I mean, number one, as I say, I don't think that was her intention. Number two, did it improve her performance? Well, not really, because if you've followed the rivalry between Serena Williams and Maria Sharapova on court, they've played many, many times. Serena's always won, or almost always won. She has a commanding head-to-head record against Maria. This was one of the easier matches for Serena. So if you want to stand there in one breath and say, this enhanced her performance, watch the match. I mean, not this enhanced her performance, but, this is a performance that's why it's illegal. Watch the match. I don't feel like it enhanced her in any way, shape, or form. We know how great Maria is. We know how great Maria is even when she plays against Serena. They've had very close matches in the past. Sure, they've had some that are one-sided, but they have had close matches. This was, especially in that second set, very one-sided. So I don't think you can question that this drug, enhanced her performance, because it wasn't an enhancing performance. So to me, I feel like I can agree that whilst the drug may enhance performance, it didn't on this occasion. Therefore, I would toss that out the window. Again, as I say, I don't think she maliciously did this. I don't think there was any malicious intent for her to take the drug and walk out on the court, and and that was all this conspiring, and this is as I said, malicious intent. I keep saying the same words, but that's that's how I feel people are responding to this. Like, she purposefully took the drug. I don't think that's the case. So that's that out the window. Then we get to the point of the negligence. Did she neglect to click on the link? Was she responsible for that? Should she have known? Yes. And so when you consider that, and also that there is this there's this possibility. Her lawyer was quoted as saying that she can get a therapeutic exemption potentially, and that could, don't quote me on this, but like half the sentence or something like that, half it, or dramatically decrease or something like that. So if that is accepted, really Maria could be looking at really next to no time, um, away from the court. The problem that we are facing at the moment, and if you read any article, no matter what you read, no matter where they stand, whether they are for her, against her, or completely neutral, the problem that we have is that it is just going to keep escalating until the ITF reach a decision. I was shocked to hear that Maria will not be officially suspended from the WTA Tour until the 13th of March, considering she received this letter, like a week or so before then. I was surprised that her suspension didn't come into effect immediately, especially considering that Maria did not sign up for Indian Wells, which is the event that's happening at the moment, the BNP Paribas Open. And because of a forearm injury that she's been struggling with ever since the Australian Open. So, and again, for anyone who's trying to connect that, I don't connect that. I don't think Maria put out of Indian Wells because of this letter. I think she has a legitimate injury, and she's just and even on 100%, really, you don't want to risk it. Tennis is one of those sports that really, it's played for the majority of the year. I think the players get something like 6 weeks off, maybe 7, and that's it. And the entire remainder of the year, there are tournaments every single week. So you really need to judge when you're going to play and when you don't play. I just wanted to add that in there. So I feel like the media is just going to keep exacerbating and blowing up this whole thing until the day that the verdict is handed out, or at least the original sentence, because I'm sure Maria is going to fight this. Her lawyer has basically said as much. But the problem that Maria and her lawyer have is that they can't fight something that is not there to be fought. In other words, until the ITF actually make their decision and hand out their sentence, there's nothing Maria can do. She can only sit there and cop all of the flack that she is getting. Now, in saying that, there are people who are supporting her, and I'm not going to take that away from those who are supporting her, because they are, and she's written a lovely thank you letter to all of her fans because of that, and apparently woke up to an inbox full of nothing but support, and I think that's wonderful. But let's be honest, for those of us who have kept up with the research, or even if you haven't, anyone who's even watched the news or heard the news, I'm yet to see a news report on the television, for example, where the reporter seems to side with Maria. They all seem to be completely against her. So that's a bit of a shame. Now, of course, Maria's sponsors have jumped right on board. Nike apparently was one of the first to suspend their contract with Maria, and we need to get the terminology correct. Nike have not cut Maria off, they have suspended their contract with her. So, in other words, if Maria gets a light sentence, or say there is no sentence, Nike could very well turn around and say, okay, yeah, now this is done, welcome back. But the watch company apparently dropped her. I believe that's correct. Um, Porsche with Maria, which really surprised me because I certainly was led to believe Maria was actively involved in the Porsche brand. So comment below, let me know if that's not true, but I'm certainly led to believe she was very actively involved with Porsche. And it wasn't just that she was receiving a check to drive in a car. She was doing a lot of advertising and staying up to date with the company, and she had quite an investment with the company. But yeah, some people have suggested that Porsche has told Maria, please don't even be seen driving in our cars. We, give them back. We don't want you to be associated with us in any way, shape, or form, which I felt, considering the circumstances, was really harsh. Then we look at this revelation of what Head Rackets have done. So all the players, they have sponsors for their clothing, like for example with Mario, it's Nike, and they have sponsors for a whole lot of different things. But the main ones are clothing sponsor and your racket sponsor. They are the main two. Maria's racket is the Head Racket, and Head Rackets actually did the opposite to what everyone else has done, and they have, during this time, during this interim of Maria saying, that she had failed the drug test, and the ITF actually reaching a decision, they've actually gone to Maria and extended their contract with Maria, which is extending such a great amount of faith to her. I think it's fantastic. Now, business-wise, is it a risky move? Possibly. But how fantastic is that? That they've stood by her, and to confirm how much they've stood by her, they've actually extended their contract with her during this interim. So a real big bravo to Head Rackets for doing that. I think that's amazing. It's going to be a very interesting a very interesting time until we reach this original sentence. I'm sure that, for those of you who are following this like me, you're going to see more and more articles coming out every day, certainly from the moment she made the announcement. Every morning since that I've woken up, the first thing I've done is literally gone to Google, typed in the name Sharapova, and seen 15 new articles that weren't there the night before. And it just keeps going on and on and on and on, and it's not going to stop. And people are going to just speculate and state their opinion, and it's just going to keep going and going and going. So I guess the point I want to make is that I don't want to do the whole leave Britney alone sort of crazy video, but if I can say leave Maria alone, please leave Maria alone. I get that she's a high-profile celebrity, but there's really no need to over-dramatize this. Yes, you got to sell your newspapers and all that, and that's all fantastic, but let's just, I'm sure there are other things going on in the world that are so much more important, and that we can focus on, that don't include this issue with Maria Sharapova. But also, if I could ask anything, if I could plead for anything, it would be for the ITF to really expedite this matter and make the decision as quickly as possible. Because once they have, we can really well, not we, me as an invested person in this because of the fact that I love tennis and women's tennis, but so I say we, but Sharapova's can finally start dealing with it. As I keep reiterating throughout this entire video, they can't start dealing with it until the ITF make their decision. So please, ITF, please, I am begging you, please make your decision already. I understand that she's not going to be suspended until the 13th of March, but really, what is to stop you? Really, do you have that much work that you can't, by now? I mean, by the time we get to the 13th, it'll be at least a week later. That you can't just make your original decision before she can contest it. I really don't understand why a decision can't be made. And part of the reason I can't understand why a decision can't be made is because no one's really talking about how the process works and how many days it takes and whatever. There's none of that. The ITF really, they haven't explained how this works in a way that is easy for us to understand and know when we can expect to hear a decision. So all I can say is, yeah, again, please, please, please just come to a decision. To all the players out there, I mean, I doubt any players are going to watch this, but if there are players that watch this, of course it is your choice what you're going to do and what you're going to say. Of course, you need to expect that the media are going to question you on this because this is the biggest thing that's happening in tennis at the moment. I mean, if you're a pro player, you know that this is going to happen. You would have expected it, but it doesn't mean that you need to get involved. And so the best way for us to be able to move on and focus on great things that are happening in tennis, like, for example, Serena Williams is back for her second year at Indian Wells, and Venus has now come back for the first time since 2001. And this is being overshadowed by what's happening with Maria. So, is the best way to deal with this and to get back to much better things that we can talk about would be to just say no comment. And, I really think, just leave it alone and let the ITF handle it. And, if you don't say anything, then there really is no story, is there? But that's just my 2 cents. Obviously, all the players are going to say what they're going to say, and, that's just it. But if it were me, if I were a pro tennis player, I probably would say, this is, not for me to comment. I'm not one that's dealing with this, so I'm not going to say anything. That's just my opinion. But I'm not a pro player, and, as a general member of the public, member of the tennis fan race, I'm not in that position of power. I'm just basically creating a vlog here and saying the opinion of a general member of the public, as I said. I really also just want to say, Maria, there are a lot of us that feel for your situation. Despite the fact that the drug test did come back positive, there are quite a few of us, whether we were your number one fans or not, who believe that you are innocent and who, like Serena said, applaud that you were actually able to come out and talk about this, and just be the honest and true professional that you are. One of the things that I've personally admired about you, especially in recent times, is just how professional you have become. Everyone goes through their trials and tribulations, especially when they first start a career, and everything, I feel like, was new for you when you first started. But then in the last 5, 6, 8 years, I really feel that your professionalism has grown to such a point that whether I was your number one fan or not, I always respected you as a player. And there is a difference between loving a player, hating a player, not caring about a player, and respecting a player. And I have always, especially in the last 5 to 8 years, respected you as a player, and respected your professionalism and the fact that you are upfront and you are honest, and there really doesn't seem to be any games whatsoever. And I hope that goes a long way in your trial. and that you won't be away for too long. To the country of Russia. I read a quote that Putin came out and said, so I read this, I didn't see it, I read it. That Putin came out and said, don't let what's happening with Maria affect Russia. And if it is an actual quote, I feel like it's a complete dismissal of Maria. I find that very surprising. Maria's done so much for the Russian Federation, especially when it comes to tennis. So this really surprised me, especially the last couple of years. She's been playing Fed Cup and representing her country quite well. And I mean, let's even go back to the last Summer Olympics. She was the flag bearer for Russia. So I was surprised that you dismissed her. Don't dismiss her. Embrace her. Maria may have been found guilty of failing a drug test, but this is not the end of the world. It's not the worst thing that has happened. Embrace her. She has embraced you. That would be my advice. To the WTA Tour, what's going to happen is going to happen. But I really hope, considering things that have happened in the past, and there have been, quite a few, well, not quite a few, but there have been a few issues with drug tests being failed and how it's all been sorted out. I really hope that Maria gets a fair sentence. As someone who feels quite neutral to the situation, again, I reiterate, I'm a fan of tennis. I'm especially a fan of the WTA Tour. But I didn't come into this saying I'm a fan of Maria Sharapova and therefore she's innocent. I come into this looking at the facts. And I feel that when you look at all the facts, you cannot give Maria, I would say, anything more than 6 months. I would even say that's a little harsh. I think she will miss Wimbledon, which of course means she'll miss the French Open, which is going to be really hard because Wimbledon has always been such a huge thing with Maria. I've always associated Maria with Wimbledon as I have other players with Wimbledon, and so it'll be really hard not to see her there. But I think I feel like Maria's done everything she had to do to qualify to play for Russia at the Olympics. And I don't think there can be a justified decision to not allow Maria to play at the Olympics. So please consider your decision and consider it wisely. I know that you will take everything into consideration. But I strongly hope that there is no prejudice from the ITF that they need to set an example because of the status of Maria Sharapova, as opposed to other players in the past that may not have been as well known, that have received less than what Maria could get for doing more. I won't name names, but there is a female player from the Czech Republic that got a really easy sentence, I felt. And I feel like part of the reason for that is because people didn't really know her. So I really hope people don't just make an example of Sharapova and say, well, we have to make an example and let's make it 4 years. Just go on the evidence. Realize that this is something Maria's been doing for 10 years. It's part of her condition. She's had to take this medication. And I mean, I haven't taken medication for 10 years, so I can't comment on that. I have had to take medication for the past 3 weeks, and it's something I'm not used to doing. But if I've learned anything from that experience, it is that you do not want to take medication unless you absolutely have to. And I believe that Maria would not be taking this medication if she didn't need to. And let's keep in mind that the inventor of this medication has come out and said, if you completely ban this drug, there could be a lot of heart-related deaths. So it is one thing to consider Maria's trial, but another to consider whether or not we really should be banning this drug. Maybe what we should be considering is the amount of this drug that can be taken. But anyway, I have gone on for more than long enough expressing my opinion, and I'd love to hear what yours is. So comment below, let me know. I can't wait to hear, and just my thoughts and well, I can't say prayers because I don't really pray, but my thoughts are really with Maria at this time for justice to be served and for a speedy announcement of this sentence so that we really can just start to deal with the issue rather than have the media continue to make this huge expose about it. And I just want to reiterate one more time. Tennis players, whether you be present or past, there is a particular player who used to play tennis in the past who has made some very bold statements, and I am very against what she has said. It was not your place to say, and I can't believe you did. Please take the high road and say no comment. This is not your situation. This is Maria's situation. I'm Francois T, and that will conclude this video for today. Let me know what you think. As I've always said, I appreciate everyone's opinion, whether you agree with me, disagree, or whether you can sit on the fence. And opinions and differing opinions is what makes life fascinating. Thank you very much. This will be on my YouTube channel, so if you would like to subscribe, please feel free to do so. And it will also be tomorrow. It will be published on my blog. That is fthurston.blogspot.com.au. Thank you all once again for joining me, and I hope you have a very pleasant evening. Well, actually morning. It's 12:15 now. Okay, I better go off to bed. Night, guys. Bye.